Okay, see what I just did there? See what I just, there's a nugget for you. I'll stick that one on YouTube. So this is back on, so we're back recording, so no more cussing. Oh, I was talking to myself. All right, so now what?
How do I do that?
How do you do that?
How do I do that?
How do you do that? Okay, so what is your ultimate goal? Liz, what is your ultimate goal? What are you trying to achieve here?
Well, I'm building my organization and I'm doing it so I can live wherever I want, because I don't want to live where I currently want to live. I want to live somewhere else. I want to retire my husband.
Okay, so
Those are my ultimate.
okay, so would you say that your ultimate goal is to build your organization to the point where it's self-sustaining?
Yes.
Okay, good. You want to live the lifestyle some of these other people we're watching live this lifestyle
So fun.
and not be
Crazy.
mad at them? Okay.
Well, I know them all, right? I've been here
I
as
know.
long as them. So I'm like,
I
what the
know.
hell? What are they doing?
No, I'm like one of the executives in the company sitting at one of these tables, and I'm going, every person sitting here is making more money than me. This sucks.
Let's figure this out, Russ.
I'm fine with that, because come on, pull me along, baby. Pull me along. So be careful. Your mom said, be careful who you hang out with. She was right. Okay. So I had this conversation and I put this in a video I've got a longer version of, and you can ask for that. I call it Griff Gold. Do you know Griff Zollinger? I believe his last name is. He's out of San Antonio area. And he said, hey, Russ, I want to build my organization, but I really don't want to do all the stuff that the other people are telling me to do to build my organization. What can I do that's different, better, other? Let's talk about true attraction versus chasing people a different way and calling it attraction, right? So what I want you to think is, picture this: a gazelle running across the field, and there's a lion pops out from behind a bush, boom, jumps on it, rips its throat out, eats it for dinner, right? That is not attraction. Okay, that's not attraction. Okay, so ambushing people is not attraction. So with that being said, are there ways that work doing that? Yes. Are there methods that work doing that? Yes. Do most of our people in our ecosystem want to do that? Are they willing to do that? Are they going to do that? I will tell you definitively. I can show you the statistics. The answer is not only no, but hell no, at a really high level. So now, how do we get more people? So here's my recipe. How do we get more people to be able to have a recipe that they're willing to make, right? So you ever seen anybody French cooking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So French cooking is ridiculously complicated,
right?
Technical, temperamental, I would say, in a lot of ways, and really hard to be successful at. That's why Julia Childs came out and she's like, I'm going to show you how to cook a chicken, right? She made French cooking approachable for mere mortals like us, right? So when we're looking at this recruiting game, how do we do this formula the correct way? And I kind of walked Griff through that, and I can walk you through this also. Okay. So the question is, Russ, I want to build my people organization, because my people organization is going to be my long-term freedom. Okay. Trading time for money selling houses is trading time for money selling houses. And you are still, if you're doing that, going to end up getting calls on Friday nights and Saturdays and Sundays, and you're going to be working evenings and weekends. And you know, that one person that didn't do anything for the last 8 months calls you on Christmas Eve because they got to see a house right now. That happens here, right? Does it have to happen? No. Can you build systems that doesn't happen as often? Yes. Can you build teams around you so that you don't have to be on 24/7 and holidays? Yes. Can you take vacations if you build this right? Yes. Are there people teaching that? Not so much. They teach us to be a doormat, right? So in the real estate business, you're like, I'm a realtor 24/7. And every time I see that, I'm like, you're an idiot 24/7, because number one, you're full of crap. Everybody sleeps. Number two, everybody has bathroom time. Number three, everybody eats. So there's three different examples of when you're not actually on, or please God, tell me you're not on for a couple of those. So can you build a business where you actually have business hours and you get most of your people to understand you have business hours when you're available? Yes. It's like, number one, to control this business of selling houses thing, make sure everybody's clear on your business hours. You get way less people calling you after 6 o'clock if you tell everybody, my typical hours are 10 to 6, Monday through Friday. I will work late on Tuesdays and Thursdays typically, and Saturdays and Sundays are by appointment only. And by the way, unless we're negotiating a contract, my Sundays are completely off limits, because that is my family time, that is my spiritual time, that is my recharge time. I hope you can respect that. Okay. If you start telling everybody in your business that, everybody in your business goes, okay, well, are there going to be people who violate that? Sure. But for the most part, most people, most of the time, will fall into that. The ones that don't, then you got to start asking the question, if I have enough business, do I even want to mess with them? Listen, if you can't follow basic rules, here's what my normal business hours are, talking to you now. So in the future, if it's not on fire and you called 911 and they're not coming and you call me. Other than that, if it's after 6 o'clock, I'm going to return your phone call the next morning. And when I call them the next morning, I say, hey, this is Russ calling back like I said I would. And then most people are fine with that, right? I will call you before noon the next day if for some reason or another I don't get you tonight. Sound good?
Yep.
So here's the problem. So now the issue is with a lot of these people is like picture number 2. So we talked about the lion jumping out from behind the bush and eating a gazelle, right? The method that I think most of us would like better, most of you would like better, and I can give you many examples and some statistics to go with it, is I hold up a steak and I wag it back and forth and I'm like, here, kitty, 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 right? And then teach you how to get your hand out of the way before the lion grabs a steak running by and rips your arm off with it. Little extra protein for him. Okay. So with that being said, how do we put up that stake and go, come on, let's go? Because I want to attract a bunch of lions. That's a great way to do it, right? Okay. So with that said, in our business, in our company, there's a big focus on the people part of the business, the result part of the business.
Yep.
Right? Are there people that can just attract real estate agents? Yes. Are there professional recruiters that can attract real estate agents? Yes. Are there people that have so much amazing value that people see that and come to them without even thinking about the house sale process? Absolutely. But that's a very, very, very small percentage.
Yes.
Okay, so when you look at the reality of where the majority of people come from and the majority of people in our business, in our company will come from, it's going to be coming from house sales. Okay, right. So the first thing we got to do is say, okay, I got to work my sphere of influence consistently, and I can give you a couple bullet points on that. And then I'm going to sell more houses. And in the process of doing those bullet points of selling more houses and making that easier, making that come to me, then I'm going to be making more cash. And if I make more cash, then I'm going to attract more people. Now, so the first part of the equation is kind of interesting. Right? So you sell more houses, you make more cash, and you attract more people that want to sell their houses and buy houses with you, right? Because that's the real estate loop, right? The more houses I sell, the more people I'm going to get that want to sell houses. So you kind of get this self-perpetuating motion thing, right? Not quite perpetual motion, but if you keep pushing on it, think about it like this. You ever push a car?
I mean, not very far.
Back in the day, you're like, at some point you had to push it. Almost everybody's had to push a car at some point, right?
Yep.
You get onto that thing and you're pushing, nothing happened. And the next thing you know, it starts to move just the tiniest little bit. And then once you get it moving, you can put one hand on it, walk behind it, and keep it moving, right? Most real estate agents never get past that initial inertia to get to the point where they're moving, or they get moving a little bit and they're like, oh my gosh, that was so much effort. And then they stop pushing. Yeah. So how do you build a system of consistent inputs that give you consistent outputs? And that's why I like working sphere of influence. Okay. In order to get that sphere of influence cranking at 10%, there's some key activities you should be doing that keeps consistent input. You do those on a monthly basis, and then things keep coming to you. Okay. So the ultimate goal is, how do I sell more houses, which makes more cash, which helps me get more people that want to sell their houses. So this guy goes, okay, let's do more house sales. And you get another house sale out of it. Okay. That's the fun part. Now, here's the really cool part. In our business, also, we've got this separate equation, which is, by the way, there are some of these people over here on every one of these transactions, or most of these transactions, there's this other group of people, which is your realtor list. Okay. So I've got my sphere of influence. I'm going to build my sphere of influence business of my people that know me, like me, trust me to sell houses. And then I'm also going to have a separate sphere of influence and a separate list of real estate agents that are just the agent list. I call it my R list. So if you go like watch Brian Buffini, first time I watched him, I thought, this guy is amazing. And then second time I watched more of his stuff, I'm like, this guy stole all of my stuff. Okay, so small ego.
No.
Turns out he'd been telling the story longer than I have. And I just kind of stumbled into the same thing he stumbled into. And then I heard him say it out loud. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I do. That's what's working for me. And I thought, holy crap, he's teaching that because it works. I accidentally stumbled into that and it works, which verifies the fact that even though I'd never seen him before, I was doing a lot of the same things he was doing with these people to get more of this. So I was working almost exclusively my sphere of influence. Okay. And my return rates were getting huge. And I started showing other people how to do that. And their return rates were huge too. Okay. Yeah. And in the process of doing that, there's a separate list of a separate group of people, which is your realtor group. And you can do a lot of things with them that help you get more of these. Okay. So the first things first is I want to systematically, intentionally sell more houses, make it easier and sell more houses short term to be able to get more of these people in this R list. So you can use selling houses to build your R list, and then you have an R list, your realtor list, and you work that realtor list as a sphere of influence. Okay, and there's certain things that we can do with them that work really, really well. Okay, so do you understand the recipe now?
Yes.
Do you understand that you should be making some adjustments on what you're doing?
Yeah. Here's my only thought on that. For the last year, the thought has been sell less houses, do agent attraction, right? Like out loud in the company.
Yes. Yes.
Saying this now is like, oh shit, right? Now my brain said, you're going to need to do both still. You're going to need to do both still. It's okay. You can do both. It's okay. There's enough time. There's enough effort. You can do both, right? But I made a shift from like Cabo to now to not sell so many houses and really focus on my R list, right? Like I got a pretty big R list because of the social stuff I do. So now I'm to the place where, okay. I've never done the SOI stuff because I'm a hard head and I was like, I don't even like those people anymore. Right. Like, okay, I'll admit it, right? But I'm okay with doing it different. Like, I'm okay. Like, this seems like a good idea. Okay, I'll try it this way. My brain thinks shiny. Okay. It likes shiny. But if you, at this point in my life, I also know that I don't know everything, which is crazy, Russ. That's crazy. So I'm willing, like Liz, here's what you do with your SOI, in my opinion. Great. Okay, I'm going to write them down. I'm going to do them. But I also want to know, what do I do with my R list? Because I do have both. I have big list. Just tell me what to do with them. Like, here's your 10 things list. That's what I need.
Okay, so you're going to hate me in a little bit because you're going to be like, dude, why didn't you tell me this 10 years ago? And God, that's so simple. I can do that. Okay. So 2 things. Number 1, I love there's so many amazing people in this business, right? But I had been hearing this and I was kind of railing against this. My original itineration in EXP, I was railing against this because I kept hearing it over and over and over and over and over. And what happens when people get into this, side of the business where they're like, hey, I want to do some of the attraction, you roll over to the attraction side and all they talk about is attraction, right? So now let's be clear, Liz. If I only did attraction, stop selling houses, don't sell a single house, can I pay my bills? If the answer to 88% of the people in EXP cannot pay their house bills with revenue share, right? So with that being said, these people are spending 90% of their time talking about this and almost no percentage of time talking about selling houses, where in fact, here's what the recipe that would work for most of them would be. And, and I don't want to step on toes. It's not a judgment. It's just simply that works for you, but not everybody's like you. So let's find a recipe that majority of people can cook. Is this the perfect recipe for everybody? No, but I will tell you, there's about 88% of people in EXP that would be way more willing to work this recipe. And this recipe is, number 1, going to keep them from starving to death. And number 2, actually makes it way easier for them to get people in attraction because they're not recruiters, right?
Yep.
Now, keep in mind, my last team, 2021, my previous itineration, hired with a 5.3 per person productivity, which is higher than national average. And of course, if we do a good job, then they'll do more after they join there. 1,692 agents due to the actions from my team, right? And it's not like, hey, pat me on the back thing. It's simply saying, can you build a massive monster that does that? Sure. But I will tell you, you won't do that plan that we had. It's an unwieldy giant monster, and it had hundreds of thousands of dollars of marketing going in the front end to get the people into the funnel, to work the funnel long term. And we were 10 plus touches, right around 10 touches to get one person in the door. So over a year, all of that funnel built up, and then we started popping them out of the bottom, right? That's a massive number, but there was a massive amount of energy and 15 full-time people working on just that.
Really?
Right? So can you do that? Yes, absolutely. But it takes money too.
Yep.
So where are you going to get your money? So your typical realtor, unless you got a rich uncle willing to throw a couple $100,000 at you and let you suck it up, you're going to have to sell houses, right? So here's the thing. In our business, what do real estate agents want to talk about? They want to talk about selling houses, right? They don't want to talk about attraction. They don't want to talk about getting people into their funnel. They don't want to talk about any of that stuff. They want to talk about attraction, house sales, right? So what we should be looking at is we're looking at $12,000 sales versus typical, let's say $350 on the attraction side. So from a company standpoint, what should we be focused on helping our agents make more money and pay their bills? The majority of people in our business need to be focused on $12,000 checks, not $350 checks, right? So for me, I'm talking to my organization family tree, and I'm telling my organization family tree, let's sell more houses. And in the process of selling more houses, we're going to meet more real estate agents. And when we meet more real estate agents, we've got the opportunity to do more of that. But let's focus on $12,000 checks first. And then when you get to the point where you've got enough of these 350s, because these 350s add up.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of it, right? These 350s add up. So some of the people are going, well, bro, Russ, I want to get my revenue share up to $10,000 a month in the first 12 months. It is very rare. Very, 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 very rare. You got kids out there. It's like, I want to be in the NFL. It's like winning the lottery, right? Even if you do everything right, it's still really hard. Okay, so that works like that with this also. So what happens is in the process of doing this, I can start stacking up these 350s, and when I get my 350s coming in consistently to the point where it's more than this, then I'm going to back off on the house sale thing.
Yeah.
But what's happening is people are backing off on the house sale thing. This isn't going up 12,000 a month. This is going up 12,000 in a year. Now I'm at $1,000 a month. You should have spent that time doing this. So really, what are you driving at? Are you driving at financial freedom? Because if you are, you should be focusing on $12,000 sales first. Can we do that while doing this? Heck yeah. Should most people be doing that while doing this? Yes. So what's happening is we've got the mashed potatoes over here. We got the gravy over here. And people are like, well, just get a big bowl of gravy, Russ, and start pouring it in your pie hole. Like, but don't get rid of the mashed potatoes. Like, no, gravy is way better when you put it on something. You can put it on meatloaf. You can put it on chicken. You can put it on turkey. You can put it on mashed potatoes. You can put it on all kinds of things. But man, gravy by itself is, ugh. I might take a spoon here and there of it, but I'm not going to just drink gravy, right? So for most people, the reality is the plan doesn't work with them just drinking gravy. It's not healthy financially. Or
no, I focused on gravy, and now I'm like, well, shit.
Yes. Well, so the problem is, and what happens is you focused on this, and you might be able to get up to $1,000 a month, but in the process you lost $48,000 because you lost 4 sales. And you should have been spending that time on this. And then if you spent the time on this, you'd have 48 more grand. And then you could afford to do more of that. Right. So do this until this gets to a point. So if you say to me, Russ, what would be a good workable plan that's reasonable, makes sense? I would be saying, look at this attraction thing and say, over the next 10 years, I'm going to do this. Right. You don't just go, hey, I'm going to get a 401k. And in the next year, I'm going to put so much money in my 401k, I don't have to work anymore. It doesn't work like that for most people. Now, occasionally you get a rich uncle dies, he drops you a pile of cash. Sure, that works, right? So are there anomalies? Absolutely. But for the majority of people, we want to make sure they have a plan that works. So when we're talking about revenue share, we're talking about attraction, say, let's look at it in a 5-year cycle. Okay. How many house sales are you doing per year right now, Liz, plus or minus?
Well, last year I did 30, but this year I'm probably at, I don't know, 15 or 16.
Okay, so can I be direct with you?
Please.
Okay, so stop it. Please stop.
Mm-hmm.
Stop doing what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first things first is let's do enough sales to get you to Icon, which gives you leverage, okay? So you're gonna need to be what, around 32 to 35 sales to hit Icon?
Yep.
Did you hit Icon at 30?
No, I'm on a team.
Okay, so let's get you to the point where okay, if you're on a team, you're not okay. So separate game. Okay.
I don't have to be on a team anymore. I'm fully capable of not. But the story was for me to get the gravy, I had the team to back me up, so I didn't have to focus on it so much.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't
So
know. Real.
okay.
That's a
So
whole nother thing.
all right. All right.
Another
So
story.
separate story. So first things first for you should be focusing on selling enough homes to become Icon. Okay.
Okay.
And there's a couple reasons for that. Not only are you going to be getting more of these $12,000 checks, but then you also are going to get your $8,000 back for your cap, right? And then you're going to get another $4,000 back for your contribution to educate and so forth and so on, your community stuff, right? And then you're getting your two back and your two back, totaling 16. The first things first, being Icon status helps you with credibility, and it helps you with credibility over here. So when I say to average person outside the business, you could say, well, I hit Icon. And they're like, whoop-de-doo, right? I hit Icon. And what that means is that the cost of doing business dropped for me by a minimum of $12,000. Okay. So the cost of me doing business on those sales went down dramatically, which means I'm not working for free, but it's really, really economical and expensive to do that. These people will be attracted to that. Right?
Yep.
You can do 30 sales, and when you hit that 32, 33, you get a chunk of that back, a huge chunk of that back. Now your cost of doing business goes down. So how do you make more money? Sell more homes, lower your cost of doing business.
Yep.
And then our ecosystem, you can have stocks which contribute to the long term. And in the process, you could build some revenue share. So you've got some additional buckets to fill up along the way. Those additional buckets will only fill up for most people by doing this more.
Yep.
Got to be focused on house sales. Okay. So with that being said, with 30 sales last year, how many years have you done 30 sales? Let's say last 5 years, how many sales did you do on average per year?
20, probably.
Okay. So 20 times 5 years, it's 100 people that are past clients, right?
Right. Yes, at least.
You have 100 people in your sphere that are past clients, not to mention the fact on those 100 sales, you probably have 80 or so real estate agents that list also, correct?
Yep.
Not to mention the other people that you bump into just going out and about doing stuff. Okay. So let's talk about your sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence is 100 past clients that you should have all the info for. They've already done business with you once. Are they more likely to do business with you again? Sure. If you stay in touch with them and add value to them, are they more likely to do business with you again and or send somebody to do business with you? Yep.
Yeah.
You should easily be able to get 10 referrals out of that every single year. Actually, your past client pool usually will convert it closer to 15 or 20%. Right? It's a higher number because they've already done business with you versus the other people that may or may not do business with you, so forth and so on. Okay. So again, now let's go back to that 10%. Do you know another 100 people or so, plus or minus? If I said, make me a list of the people you know, friends, family, relatives, past coworkers, somebody does your hair, all of those people that you touch base with, anybody that you give money to should be in your sphere of influence. Okay. Yep. So could you add another maybe 150 people from that?
Yeah, probably.
The average person will pull up 180 to 220. So right around 200 plus or minus without past customers is what typical real estate agents will do. Okay. So with that said, now you've got 250 people in your sphere alone. A big chunk of that is past clients. Some of that is agents, which we're not going to count those as typical sphere for selling houses. But you got 250 house buying and selling people. Okay. So out of that, you should be able to do 25 sales just by that alone. So now going off that 10% rule, all you got to do is say, how do I add another 100 people to my sphere of influence? If I add 100 people to my sphere of influence, I have now 350 people. And if I have 350 people in my sphere of influence, how many sales should I be able to do out of that?
35.
35, right? And then I've got 35, well, let's say 30 more of these R group also. So 80 realtors just went to 110, right?
Yeah.
See, if I say, okay, I'm going to focus on selling houses for the next 5 years, and in the process, I'm going to buy product, get attraction. Now, number one, you've got something you can do. Number two, you're focusing on the big money first. Number three, you're looking at doing something for a period of time, knowing it's going to end. I could be a garbage man on the back of a garbage truck if you're like, Russ, 1 week, get after it. Do it like undercover boss, right? God, I'll be the best dang garbage man in the world, right? So if I know I only have to do it for a week, I'm good. If you say, Russ, this is your life, like, I say 5 years, I'm going to do this well. I'm going to build this, and then I'm going to start automating this and letting somebody else on my team work this as I get this moving more, the attraction thing moving more. Now I've built myself a purposeful, intentional business plan to be able to succeed on the attraction part and not starve to death in the process.
Yep.
Okay, so the whole thing is, the ultimate goal is freedom. Broke and free. They're like, well, Russ, you can make $35,000 a year, live in Thailand like a king. Like, thank you, Timothy Ferriss, 4-hour work week. That's brilliant. But I'm not moving to Thailand, right? So that plan, like that recipe, throw that in the garbage. Okay. So far, does this recipe make sense to you?
Yes.
Can you do this?
If I want to, yes.
Here's what I love about that. That's a very honest answer.
It is, right? Like,
okay, number one, is it possible? Right? Is it possible? Yes. Am I going to do it? Right? Can I do push-ups? Yes. Am I going to? Not today. Right? Can I eat healthier? Yes. Am I going to do it? Not today. Okay. So, all right, but we got to know what we are, right? So at some point you got to say, yes, I really want this to happen, Russ. And the way I've been doing it's not working, or the way I've been doing it not only is not working, but it's burying me financially also. So how do I not bury myself financially and get that as a byproduct? Unless I'm going to drop everything and hammer down on this and be a rock star. And trust me, I know how to do this stuff. And I'm telling you, like, I got to 14 frontline qualifiers and about 105 people in my group in the span of like 12 or 14 months when I did my first itineration. And my checks were not paying my bills, right? I'm sitting there a year in going, I'm really good at this. I got a bunch of people in a short period of time, and those people got people, and I'm still starving to death over here. So I got to tag at least one house in addition to that. Otherwise, I got to stop doing this, or I got to do this way better.
Why do you think my brain keeps thinking that, right? Because I have 14 qualifiers, I have 80 in the organization, and my checks range from 2 to 4, right?
Yep.
So I mean, I know why, right? I'm smart enough to know that I'm the only one doing the work, right? My people aren't doing the work because they're focused on houses, right? So so then I'm helping them with the houses. I meet with them every week. We have our own trainings, blah, 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 right? We're doing all those things, but then it takes up all of my time so that I'm not selling houses, right? So I'm making $4,000 a month if I'm lucky, helping them sell all the houses. And then my brain's like, this ain't gonna work. It's either gonna work or you're gonna stop. Which is it? So
so there's a couple of different chunks here, right? So the ultimate goal at the end of the rainbow, right, is for you to be rich.
Yes, that is the goal.
Not everybody else. Listen, I've helped so many other people become really wealthy. I kick myself sometimes because like servant-based leadership. Yes, like I'm showing you how to make crap tons of money, and in the process, I'm broke. Okay, so you got to implement things that stop that. So what happens is, in the process of working with these people, they will take up 100% of your time, energy, and effort, which leaves you no time for that. Very normal. Welcome to leadership. So think of it like this. Here's a picture in the graphic you want in your head, right? Think of it as like, I built a nest with a bunch of baby birds. Those baby birds laying in that nest is cheep, 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 right? Like, so the ultimate goal of building a nest with a bunch of baby birds is to give the baby birds some worms, feed them, get them to grow some feathers out, and let them fly. Doink! Sometimes you got to boot them out, right? If you've got baby birds in your nest screaming for worms and refuse to grow feathers and refuse to leave the nest, you got the wrong birds, right? So my system has to be set up to say, okay, I'm going to keep you in my nest, love you, keep you, cuddle you, keep you warm, feed you worms, and you grow feathers, and then I'm going to show you how to fly. Okay, so in the process of training these guys, what I need to do is I need to draw out a really, really clear plan for them, right? So I'm going to have training. Okay, I'm going to have training 1 time a week.
Okay.
For 1 hour or 90 minutes, right? And if you don't have feathers and you still need worms, you got to show up at that. If you stop showing up at that, I'm not picking up the phone for you after hours on a weekends, because these people will literally run you to death
I
on
know,
their
I am.
time, right? They're like, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my kids to bed. I'm going to have dinner and do that with the kid. And then once I get the kids to bed, then I'll call you. Wait a minute. It's like, you're going to call me at 9 p.m. after you got all your stuff done. And then I'm still working at 9 p.m. because let's have priorities, right? 9 to 5, Monday through Friday is when we communicate about business.
Right.
You call me outside of that, I'm going to call you first thing the next morning. If it's an emergency, text me. Okay. So I've got to start establishing something that resembles playing rules, right? If you don't get clear on the rules, what happens? Somebody hits the ball and they run to the left. They're running to third base. And you're like, why did you do that? And they're like, well, that's where the base is. I'm like, yeah, but you got to go the other way. Oh, I didn't know that. They're running the bases backwards because they're like, well, there's 2 bases. They're equally distant apart. I'm actually closer to this one, so I better run that way. When in fact, they need to be running towards first base, right? So this is run towards first base. Okay. So you start establishing criteria for them to show up when it makes sense for you also as part of your business plan. You have to have a plan. You have to clearly communicate that, right? Okay. So that's your one. Okay. Training 1 time a week. This is for your noobs, right? So you got all your newbie training 1 time a week. I used to do mine like 10 a.m. on Wednesday mornings. And if you didn't show up, I'm done with it. I'm not spending more time on you if you're not showing up and doing your thing, right?
Right.
Say, well, Russ, what do I make them do? I can give you that list too. This call is going to go a little bit long. It's 11:10. Okay, so let me just double check real quick here. Hang on a second here.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Okay, good. I've got a little extra time. Okay. Are you still good here?
Yep.
Okay. By the way, I'll send you a recording of this video and you can rewatch it.
Thank you.
And then kick yourself in the butt some more. Okay. Newbie training 1 time a week. If they don't show up, then you're done with them. Okay. And I'll show you like the basics of how to tell them what to do so that they got a better chance of doing this.
Yes.
Okay? And they'll also have a better chance of doing this if they're doing those things also. Okay. The number 2 thing you're going to do is a 1-hour mastermind. 1-hour mastermind. And that's for everybody else, right? That's for everybody else that wants to show up. I would do that on Zoom for sure. I'd probably do the first one on Zoom because people show up from wherever. 1-hour mastermind. And the mastermind, the reason you want to do the mastermind is you want the people that are playing at a higher level to have a forum to be able to communicate. Okay, you want to be able to ask questions and compare notes on what's working, what's not working. Okay, do your high level people need to be trained most of the time? No. Do they need some support? Yes. Do they need to feel connected? Yes. This is your time to make them feel connected. Help hold them accountable to what are you doing on a day-to-day basis, right? Most of the time, top level people, when you give them a little bit of accountability on the right stuff, their business explodes. Because I'll tell you, I'm going to be in Indianapolis on Friday, and I'm going to roll through this training on how to build your sphere of influence business and a couple of things they need to be doing. And I will guarantee you that some of their top level people selling a bunch of homes that aren't doing some of the basics consistently well or consistently. Okay, so if they start doing that, their business will explode. So they're like, Russ, I did 60 homes last year. Cool. Congratulations, right? How many of them are from your sphere of influence? Is your sphere converting at 10%? No. You're doing a bunch of time, energy. So how about you want to work less hours and make more money? Every realtor's like, yes, Russ, yes. I want to work less hours and make more money. Work your sphere first. Let's get intentional on working that first. Okay. So help them and hold them accountable to that. Okay. This is somewhere where you can have guests come in and talk. You can have someone like me come in and talk on that mastermind to break this stuff down for them and remind them of what they need to be doing. But you don't want to have it so people coming in trying to fleece them all the time. This is about them, not about me trying to get my stuff. This is me adding value to them. Always make sure those masterminds are adding value to them. Only bring people in there adding value.
Yep.
You're going to have a sponsor do something, you give them 5 minutes and shut them up. It's about you guys adding value. Okay. So that if you just set that up and make your people understand, you got those 2 forums to communicate. If you're not showing up for that, don't randomly call, hey, just got a second. I just wanted to chit chat about me personally. This is a forum for that. And you remind them. And then they go, oh, block it off on your calendar. I've got it blocked off on my calendar. Nothing will stop me from doing this. Nothing will stop me from doing this. Now, instead of having 6 or 7 hours of mindless nonsense, training people one-on-one, you've got them in a group. If they show up, great. If they don't, fine.
Yep.
My own personal group, I would have, sometimes I have one person show up. Like, you got one person out of 100. Well, that one person got me one-on-one, and I'd add value to them, right? And then they go,
Yep.
hey, by the way, man, I did that thing. We got one-on-one. Then 3 people show up the next week and they're like, talk to me one-on-one, right? So that's the forum you want to make sure everybody falls into. Now,
Okay.
you force them to respect your time. Okay.
Yep.
Leaves you more time for this.
Yep.
You got to be diligent. You got to be consistent. Otherwise, you will never have enough time for this. Okay. So now,
Yep.
what do I do to work my sphere of influence? I put some of that out in the Griff video, and I'm
Okay.
going to do a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth video probably on breaking some of these things down. The first things first is you need to make sure you put together your sphere of influence list. Step 1, you got to have a list. That list has to be name, address, phone number, email address of every single person you know, like, and trust. It's
Okay.
got to be all the people you've done business with in the past. It's got to be people, the person that does your hair, the person that mows your lawn, the person that does their, all of those people that you know in your normal sphere of influence. They need to be on that list. Name, address, phone number, email address. And people go, well, Russ, I don't have all this info. Well, duh, neither did I. So I started having to get it. And they're like, well, why? People won't give me their home address. Why not? Like, hey, I'm going to send you something. What's your address? Where do you want me to send it? Most people go, okay, here's my address. It's not that hard, right? If you got something they want, they're more likely to give it to you. And I'll show you a couple of techniques on that in a second. Okay. Number 2 is add value. Okay. Number 2 is add value. So
Okay.
First things first is you put together your list. And the second thing is add value. And you're like, Russ, what do I do next? Go back to 1. Make sure you put your list together. The second part. So after you do this, 3 would be grow SOI, right? Grow number 1. Okay.
Mhm.
And then what do I do, Russ? Add value to them. You're like, that's it. Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to make it more complicated so you can't do it? I don't want you to have any excuse, right? If you can't do that, get out of business. Because this is where the majority of your business should be coming from. Okay. So first things first, when now you're going back to coaching. So I'm going to turn Liz into Liz the coach versus Liz the real estate agent that's getting her time sucked away by a bunch of people trying to bleed her to death on random stuff, right? First thing I do with everybody on my team is I make them put together their sphere of influence list. You will be shocked and surprised, probably the first year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years, how many times you will try to get somebody to work their sphere and put their list together. I will say probably me, because I beat the crap out of people on it. I would say 70% of the people in my system, 70% of them will never get their sphere together. Never. 30% of them will get their sphere together. So when I beat on them time after time after time after time after time after time, you and I aren't moving forward until you have your full sphere of influence list together. If you can't get that together, I'm not going to give you a lead, because if I give you a lead, where are you going to put it? You don't even have a list of where to put it, right? People are like, but I want leads, Russ. I'm like, you've got a bunch of people in your bucket already. You don't even have a bucket. You got a bunch of water. You don't have a bucket to carry. It's like, just get a bucket first, then fill it with water. Otherwise, you can only hold what's in your hands. Realtors are like, Russ, this business is so hard. Well, no crap. You're trying to hold a gallon of water in 2 cupped hands. Like every time, and the harder you squeeze, the faster the water squirts out. That's the real estate experience for most people. Sphere of influence, get it in one place. 70% of the people I deal with and have dealt with never will get that together. Let's be clear. It might be higher than that. I'm being generous saying 70% won't, which means 30% do. Here's the thing. Everybody's like, Russ, I'm spending so much time. Yeah, because you're working on 10 people, of which 7 of them aren't even doing basics right.
Yeah.
Ow, right? I'm going to work on the 3 that are doing what they need to do. The other ones are like, if you can't get that done, you and I are done. Like, you're not even doing your part. I'm doing my part. You're not doing yours. You get that, right? Like, yeah, but the world is full of buts. Most of them have a crack in them. Okay, so with that said, 70% of the people now, hey, Russ, how do I eliminate 70% of the work? I eliminate the 70% of the people that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing and stop wasting my time. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I've just cut my workload down. I'm working on the ones that are most likely to succeed because they're doing the basic stuff. Okay. So there's step one. That will eliminate a bunch of the noise. Listen, you don't call me until you get that done. First thing somebody calls me, hey, how's your sphere of influence list? How many people are on it? And then here's a bad one, right? Show it to me. You want to call people out? by the way, guys, I'm going to tell you to show it to me. You know what happens when I tell them to show it to me? Half the people are full of crap and they're lying to me. They're lying to themselves and they're lying to me also. So show it to me. And then when I make them show it to me, all of a sudden it's like, well, you know, I got you. Like I had my boss, baller, amazing human. She's now chief strategy officer for a large company that's growing fast. And she, in a meeting, she's like, hey, Russ, do you have that list that I asked you for? And I said, yes, I do. And she's like, show it to me. And I thought, okay, cool. So I'm like, shoot, where is it? I'm like, I swear to God, it's done. I know it's done. She's like, Russ, listen, just tell, if you don't get it done, just tell me, right? Don't lie to me. I was like, I'm not lying to you. I did it. I've got it. I just can't put my finger on it the second. She's like, all right. This was earlier on in our relationship. I said, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it, right? I was embarrassed more because I couldn't find the stupid thing. Turns out I had saved it in the wrong place, couldn't figure out where the hell it was because I'm not super tech guy and I look like an idiot, right? 10 minutes after the call, I emailed it to her and I said, I told you I had it done. I just wasn't able to put my fingers on it quick. She's like, I'm so glad you weren't lying to me because that scared me that you would lie to me. Okay, so you're going to get some people who are going to lie to you. It's normal, right? Now we got to go back into it. Do you really want this? What do you really want for your business? Now I got to go back to, are you serious about this? Are you serious about putting your kids through school? Are you serious about actually making money? Are you serious about performing? This is basic 101. What are you doing? If you're not doing that, go get a job at McDonald's. It's way less painful. This job is too damn hard to do it poorly. Not only not make money, dragging it, like ruin evenings and weekends for years, ruin your family potentially if you don't do it right. Okay, so it's too hard to do that to not be successful. So you got to get what you want. Okay. Agreed. So then the next step is add value. How are you doing on time?
1 second, I'll tell you.
Yeah, just want to make sure because you asked me a question, it's like simple question, complicated answer.
Hold on 1 second.
I can speed through the rest of this because I'll build out a couple of other chunks that you can watch at a later date.
I have a call at noon is my next call. I was just checking. I have a closing that, oops, the sellers didn't sign their deed docs because their lawyer sucks. Oops. You know, Russ. And it's my fault. By the way, it's my fault.
Your fault. The lawyer sucks.
The lawyer literally was like, I told them to do it. And I was like, they don't know what deed docs are, dude.
You gotta hold it in front of their face with a pen. Say, here, pen, there. That's how you do it.
Total credit. I died. I literally died. It was like literally a minute before this call. I was like,
yes.
Fine. It's fine, Russ. It's all gonna work out fine. We're all good.
So add value. So here's what you're gonna force everybody in your system to do. Add value. First thing I'm gonna do to add value is do a real estate market update.
In an email or video or both? A video in an email. What?
Real estate market update that gives people a quick overview of what's going on in the market. And here's the reason why. I want you to understand how unbelievably powerful this is. And this is pretty much all I'm teaching on stage right now. Okay. Because most people aren't doing this. Okay. Real estate market update. What's going on in the market? Every interaction I have with another human, still to this day, they find out I'm in the real estate business. They ask me what?
What's going on in the market?
How's the market, right? Why do we suck as an industry at answering this? It's like, if somebody's going to ask me a $12,000 question, you think I should know the answer to that one, right? True. But we don't as an industry do a good job with that. So get your people doing a real estate market update, get their list together, get them doing a real estate market update every single month. And what you'll find is that business starts coming to them because they start to see you as the expert. If you don't talk like an expert, walk like an expert, and do stuff like an expert, you never get paid like an expert. So when I stand in front of a room of people, I say, how many of you are a real estate expert? Everybody puts their hands up. I'm like, how many of you are being paid like an expert? Crickets, right? Like, you're not an expert if people aren't willing to pay you as an expert. You might be, you might think you're a best-selling author, but if you don't sell any books, you're not. Okay. If you're a best-selling author and you sell a bunch of books, then you're a best-selling author. If you are a real estate expert and you're being paid like an expert and people want you to consult with them on your experty stuff in your head, that's when you know people see you as an expert. Okay. So if people are coming to you, that means you're doing a good job. Okay. So market update, you're going to do this a couple different ways. I'm going to drop this on social. Okay. I want to have a video, a short video. People say, but Russ, I just took this information and forwarded it, right? Yes, and they think it's somebody else's information that you forwarded. So who looks like the expert when you forward somebody else's stuff? You forward my stuff to somebody else, they think I'm the expert, and you forwarded me expert stuff, right? I want them to see you as an expert. So you have to do a short video. And by the way, I have a video on how and why to do a real estate market update. I can send that to you also. And I can send you a sample of what I just did for Michigan, right? Detroit market, Southeast Michigan market on short video. Here's what's going on in the market, some basic parameters, okay? I'm going to do social. I'm going to drop that on video form, and I'm going to drop that on my Facebook. You could drop it on Instagram. You can put it on TikTok. You can put it on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. You can put whatever you want, right? I'm going to take that video and I'm going to drop it out 2 times in the first, 2 times a month. The first time I'm going to do it is going to be blah, blah, blah. Here's a market update. The second time I'm going to do it, just in case you missed it, here's a repeat. Because some people are going to miss it, right? So that's how you double your exposure on that, okay? Then secondly, I'm going to do a very hyper local market update. I'm going to do a local area market update. And then I can do a statewide update. And I can do a national update. Okay. Local is this one, the one I'm going to do once a month, and I'm going to put it out 2 times. My area one, I can do this 1 time per quarter. State one, I can do it 1 time per quarter. Minimum. And then national one, about every 6 months, I can do a national one. Here's what's going on overall. Because are there differences? Sure. And I can point out, so you might be saying, hey, in certain markets, blah, blah, blah. In our hyper local market, you need to know this information. So now I've got 4 different videos I can do, 2 of which I'm going to do on a monthly basis.
Hyper locals 2 times?
Hyper local, I'm going to do the video, and then I'm going to drop it out 2 times. Let's drop it out the first time, drop it out the second time, just in case you missed it. The area one, you can also do the same thing with. So I'm going to do that 1 time a month, and I'm going to post it twice just because people miss it. Hey, by the way, here's what's going on in the state, because I know the people in my state are more likely to be moving around in my state. So people move from Tampa to Sarasota, Sarasota to Tampa, Orlando to Tampa, Tampa to Orlando, Tampa to Jacksonville, Jacksonville to Orlando, Jacksonville to Tampa, Jacksonville to Destin. You know, people move around within states all the time. So do I want to be able to connect some of that? Sure. Can I get referral fees from it? Sure. If I can make a 5-minute phone call and make a 25% referral fee, I think that's great. But then people think you're not just hyper local, you can handle everything.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, right? Gives you a chance to look more like an expert, not just I know my neighborhood and I know the area and I know the state. And by the way, once in a while, I'm going to tell you what's going on nationally too. National Association of Realtors has all kinds of national stats. Just go in and do market statistics, search in NAR, and they'll pull up a bunch of stuff on what's going on nationally. State also, your state has, almost every state has market statistics available to you as a realtor, and you can pull the state numbers. Are the state numbers going to be different than the hyper local? Yes. Do you want to be a hyper local expert? Yes. Okay, so you can do a local market update. Get that out. If you only get your sphere of influence list together and only add value by doing just that, your business will grow.
Okay.
Just doing that. Now, what's the next step? The next step is grow your sphere, right? It's like, what else are you going to do? How many hours does that take? If you get good at doing the social media stuff and popping videos out, that's 1 day. Not even 8 hours worth of work to do that every single month, right? So what are you going to do the other 21 or 22 days in the month? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some things to grow my sphere. Do I want to grow more of business that comes back to me at 8 to 10%? Or do I want to grow more business that comes back to me at 1 or 2%? Yeah. So grow my sphere, sure, right? So how do you grow your sphere? I want you to grow your sphere doing stuff you love, right? If you love boating, do more boating. If you love golfing, do more golfing. If you love bowling, go bowling, right? If you're like, well, I really don't do anything but take care of my family and my kids. Well, then your life sucks. Stop your life from sucking. You have to do things that don't suck, okay? People are like, Russ, you do all kinds of crazy stuff. Yes, because I'm building a life that doesn't suck. Like, I don't have time for that. Well, you need to make time for that, because guess who the most important person is in the world to me? Me. Everybody's like, no, my wife, right? Oh, so you just cut your throat and take the dead weight? No, come on, really? You got to take care of yourself so you can be the best person for your specific other people you love. Well, but I'm a mother. You don't understand, Russ. I'm like, you think teaching your kids that you're a doormat is a good thing? Like teaching your kids, you will sacrifice your whole life and not do anything personally. your daughters need to see you as a powerful, strong woman that has a life and has cool stuff and has passions and things she loves to do too. Because then you're going to raise cool daughters that are passionate, that are going to do things that they love too and live an amazing life.
Yep.
Russ, you don't understand. I got 4 kids. I don't care. Right? Do something with yourself for yourself that you love and enjoy. You'll be a better human. You'll be a better mother. You'll be a better father. You'll be a better grandmother. You'll be a better grandfather. So do stuff you love, right? Build your sphere doing stuff you love. There's a guy said to me, Russ, I really love golfing. My wife's just kicking my butt about golfing. I said, all right, Bill, you golf all the time. My wife's kicking my butt about it. I just wish I could golf more. I really love golfing. I said, okay, great. So how many sales did you do in the last year? He did like 32 sales. I said, great. How many of those are people that you golf with? And he goes, I don't know. I said, look it up. Call me back when you're done. He looks it up. He comes back and he goes, 6. I go, have you told your wife that you got 6 transactions golfing? What is your average sales price in his market at the time? It was $6,000 commission net, right? That's $36,000 a year that you made plus golfing. How much did it cost you to golf? Less than 6,000. Okay, so let's say it cost you 6. So you made 30K plus golfing. Playing golf. I think if you roll that out and show your wife what the math really is, just show her the math and say, so I made an extra 30 grand. I stopped golfing. I don't do business with those people. Took 30 grand off her plate. So are you sure you want me to stop golfing? And you know what? He calls me back 2 days later. He goes, Russ, I sat down and had a conversation with my wife, business conversation, and I explained to her what the numbers and the math were. And she, you know what her response to me was? Bill, you need to golf more.
That's about right.
And I go, are you okay with that? He goes, hell yes, I'm okay with it. Like, dude, this is like a battle we've been doing for 5 years. We've been battling this. I said, now if you show her you're doing it intentionally, now next year you sit down with her and say, because we did it intentionally and I golfed more, now I have 12 transactions that came directly from people I golfed with. Yeah. Now what does she say to you? You need to golf more, right? She's like, I need to take up golf, right? So start thinking of growing your sphere, doing things you love, and then do them intentionally. And everybody I meet at the golf course, guess what they say to me? Liz, watch this. They go, hey, what do you do for a living, Russ? And I go, I'm a real estate agent. And then they say what?
How's the market?
Bingo. You know, as a matter of fact, I do a real estate market update every month that tells people what's going on in the market. Do you want me to send it to you? Yeah, great. Give me your info. Let me plug it in. By the way, I'm horrible at this stuff. I promised myself this year I'd get all their info because my contacts are a mess. So name, got it. Phone number, got it. Best email address, got it. Home address. What do you need a home address for? Well, every once in a while, I do a hard print of this and I send it out in mail so you can read it, touch it, and I need to know where to send it. Okay, cool. Here's my address. Good, done. Now, here's what I'll do. I'm going to send it to you tomorrow. I don't send it to them today. I send it to them tomorrow because what happens tomorrow? They forgot about it. They forgot about me, right? And the next day I say, hey, by the way, here's my market update. Like I said, I would. Sending it like I said I would. And they go, oh, now not only do I have their contact info, I've sent them something that they want. And I also have built credibility because I did what I said I was going to do. This is not rocket science, right? This is a simple recipe that we got to tell the story so people do this, okay? So you can do this. Your people can do this. So me as a leader, I'm going to empower my people to do this, okay? The more I empower my people to do this, the more likely they are to do it and move forward. I see somebody climbing in your back seat, hopefully not trying to mug you.
I'm parked outside a horse camp because I had to drop her off. It's a whole thing. Needed her umbrella, so good I'm here.
As long as it's not a horse climbing in, you're good, okay? Or you're getting mugged. Like, by the way, look behind you. There's somebody behind you. Okay, a little nervous there for a second. Okay, so do you understand the importance of a market update now? Do you understand the importance of grow your sphere doing stuff you love? Okay.
Does it matter what's in the market update? My brain is like, you don't know the numbers. Like brain, that's not like you could just go look at the basic stat, days on market, average house sales, like, you know, stuff like that, right? Just the basics.
So I can send you a video, shoot me a note and say, send me the video on how and why to do a real estate market update. And then just do your own version of it, right? Mine's not perfect. Mine's super low tech and super simple, but it gets the info out there, right? So send me that. Anybody else watching this video, yes, send me a note and say, hey, Russ, can I get the video of how and why to do the markets on my YouTube channel now also, by the way, and I will probably be updating that because I think the last time I did that, how and why I had hair. So freaks people out now. So ask me for that video and I always have a more modern version of that stuff floating around, okay? So grow your sphere of influence. And the next thing is really super important. And this one's going to flip you out. Okay.
Yep.
Ready for this?
Yep.
Do we sell houses? Are the houses always perfect? Do the houses always have stuff broken on them and breaking on them? Do people need to say, where do I find, who do I find a contractor?
Yep.
People are looking for contractors all the time. Every time we're going to buy a house, there's contractors that they're going to need to do things on their house. So we need to, as we grow our sphere, I'm going to grow my sphere by adding a contractor list. Okay. Actually, let me go backwards. Finish market update part. Okay. On the market update part, this is part A. Part B is I'm going to email my whole sphere. So social media, so I'm going to do a video. I'm going to do that and post it on social. I'm going to email the link to YouTube to my people with a little note saying, here's a real estate market update. You should check this out in email because some people will see that. And then C, the third way I'm going to drop that out is I'm going to mail it to people in the US mail. I'm going to do a printout version summary of it. Hey, here's what's going on in the market right now. Printout version summary of it and mail it to people. If you're saying, but Russ, you don't understand, I don't have money for that. Okay, well, it's a couple $100. You're going to have to invest in your business at some point. Worst case scenario, absolute minimum every other month, send that out. Okay. So that cuts your costs in half, but every other month, put something in the mail. Here's the reason why. Are people going to miss it on social? Yes. Are people going to miss it in email and not open it? Yes. A good open rate on email is 10, 11, 12, 14%. You get to 20, that's big, right? So will people open mail? Yes, almost every single time they'll open mail. So do you have, you want this get in people's hands? Yeah. Are they going to throw it in the garbage after they read it? Yeah. It's just like I do, right? But they're probably most likely to see it in one of those formats. And this is how you get your business to come to you. Do that with market update, right? So the next part was the do things you love, do a contractor list. Okay. So here's the overarching thought process. Somebody has something wrong with their house and they say, who do I know that can help me with this? They call Russ and they go, Russ knows everybody. I'm sure he's got a plumber. They call me for a plumber. Who are they going to call when it's time to do a house sale?
You.
Me. So if I become a resource for them, again, this is add value. If I'm becoming a resource to them, then when I'm a resource to them, I can grow my sphere of influence by adding a contractor list, right? Because they're all humans and live in houses too. So I can grow my contractor list to grow my sphere, but I can also, this doubles up as adding value. And you go, oh, shoot, Russ. Okay, great. So that double duty on that thing, heck yeah, right? So now here's a fun one. Let me tie together what I'm going to do at the end of this. All of this stuff I send to my R list because guess what? The other realtors don't have this stuff either.
You're right.
How do I become a resource to a bunch of realtors? You're like, oh, crap, Russ. Are you serious? Uh-huh. Are my other realtors in my stuff not getting a market update? Do they need to know what's going on in a market update? By the way, most of the realtors around me ask me what's going on in the market. If I become their resource for market stat info, I become their resource for, hey, by the way, can I borrow one of your contractors? Sure. By the way, when I do this contractor list and I post on social, I've got a little white paper for this, by the way. If you'd like to see that, request it from me and I can send you a white paper on how to build a contractor list. Okay, super simple. It's got a little instruction manual at the bottom. It's got all the ingredients at the top, instruction manual at the bottom. It's my recipe for contractor list. Ask me for that. I'll send that to you. Okay. And when I'm building that contractor list, particularly on social, I will say, hey guys, I'm looking for a plumber for this area. I'm looking for a plumber for Plymouth, Canton, Livonia, blah, blah, blah. They need to be good, fair price, and communicate well. Show up, right? Because I don't want to refer somebody that doesn't show up. Okay. When I post that on social media, what happens? A bunch of other realtors that are around me that I've done business with in the past, they will say, hey, here's my guy. He's really great. So realtors are reaching out to me, giving me something.
Yeah.
Now I've got realtors that I can reciprocate with. I'm going to take that realtor. Hey, by the way, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you giving me that thing. And by the way, I do a market update every month. Let me send that out to you. I'll put you on my list. Do you want it? And they go, yes. I got something. You want it? And they go, yes, great. Now you're on my list of my market update on my R list. Now I've got realtors that I have something they want. How do you attract people? Hold up a stake.
Yep.
Get your hand out of the way. Okay. Do you see how this master plan is devious?
Yeah.
Okay, so contractor list. Okay, so I've got a white paper on contractors. Now, here's the jacked up part about contractors. You might say, hey, Russ, well, gee, there's a lot of contractors. I've got a list of 60 of them. Okay, 60 different types of contractors that you should have a connection for. Okay, so here's the fun part. Here's a multiplier. Do you need high-end plumber and a low-end plumber? Yeah, they're two different animals, right? The high-end plumber is going to price things, scare the crap out of low-end people, and the low-end plumber is going to scare the crap out of the high-end people. So we want to make sure we send a high-end plumber to the high-end homes, because those $1,000 faucets that you scratch versus your $39 mowing one that they threw in, or price fister one that the other guy threw in, you want to make sure you got the right guy doing the right job. So you got a high end and a low end. Now here's the fun part too. If you got a high end guy and he's good, he's going to be busy. So I need a backup guy. So now I got 2 high end, 2 low end. So I've got 60 people that I add to my sphere times 4, which means now I have 240 people I can add to my sphere that are just on my contractor list.
Mm-hmm.
Is that list going to hit at 10% as I add value to them consistently? Probably not. Contractors lists don't normally hit like that, because typically they know 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 other real estate agents. But over time, if I'm sending them my market update and I drive business to them on occasion and let them know that, then over time, then I become their favorite realtor. Not immediately. And I always, over time, they're going to say, that Russ guy's really sharp. That Russ guy gives me good stuff. That Russ guy tells me what's going on. Okay, so you can see how you can be a resource, and you know you do it right when somebody posts on Facebook or Instagram, hey, I need a plumber for my house because we had a leak. Who do you know? And 5 people go, ask Russ, he knows everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the goal. Okay, now the last part of this, add value, grow your sphere, is going to be doing local interest stuff. Okay, local interest and promoting other people's businesses.
Okay.
Promotion stuff. Okay, so local interest stuff. So so now I'm going golfing more often. Because that's part of my plan to grow my sphere. And when I'm at the golf course, I start my little video thing. I'm like, hey, I'm Russ the Realtor. I am at Brayburn Golf Club. This is one of my favorite things. If you haven't been to Brayburn, it's a cool place, great golf club, fair price. And by the way, if you haven't seen the hole called the Monster, it's a double dog leg. Super, super cool. If you can shoot par on that, you are a maniac. By the way, I've only shot par on it once. So it's not an easy hole. Love this golf course. Come out and check it out. Now I'm doing local color stuff. I say, hey, I'm Russ the Realtor doing local color. Hey, I'm Russ the Realtor. I'm at this really cool restaurant called Yellow Dog. You got to check this place out. This is really neat. And by the way, let me introduce you to the owner. Owner's Bill. Bill, what made you think about putting this menu together like this? And he's like, blah, blah, blah. I got a funny sense of humor, and termites ate half the building, and it gave me an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever, right? So you can do a local promotion thing. So instead of saying, look at me, I'm a realtor, you can say, hey, I'm Russ the Realtor, and I'm at Yellow Dog. Check this restaurant out. Check out the menu. It's interesting, worthwhile, right? By the way, if you want to rent kayaks with your kids, we went kayaking this weekend. Check this out. I'm Russ the Realtor. You go kayaking and use Bill's Kayak Rental. They did a great job for us, took care of us, and it was a fair price. Okay, doing local promotion. I have a white paper on how to do that, a list of different things that are interesting you can do on both posts and things on, and connect with people on. So the overarching thing on that is I'm doing promotion stuff for other people. Instead of saying, look at me, I'm a realtor, please send me business, begging like a panhandler, like we see all over the place. I'm doing interesting things, and people start going, that Russ guy's kind of interesting. He does interesting stuff. Now I'm getting people's attention. Okay. So you're doing market update. 2, you're doing your contractor list. And then 3, you're doing your local content, and people see you as a local expert that knows cool stuff. So if you're the person that knows everything about town, somebody can call you and say, hey, my nieces are coming into town. Where would you go with them? Boom. I own them, right? So I did a little white paper on that too, with instructions on how to do that. Okay. Now, what else do you need to do to build your business?
Follow up with all of those people in some way.
Shampoo, rinse, repeat. Just do this.
Okay.
If you just do this consistently for 12 months, you're going to have your sphere of influence clicking in that 8 to 10% range, right?
Okay.
People go, Russ, well, how do I know if my business is going well? Do your sphere, look at your sphere. If you got 200 people in your sphere and you have 20 sales, you're doing good. If you have 16 to 20 sales coming from your sphere, you're doing really good. If you have less than that, you got to get better at doing this and become more interesting.
Become more interesting. That's good.
Don't suck out loud on social.
Okay.
Okay. Is there a way to do a better job on social? Yes. Okay. So be a little bit more enthusiastic than if you and I are just talking, sitting in the car, or sitting having dinner. I do this a little bit more animated. I do this a little bit bigger hand sign. I do this a little bit more inflection in my voice. I do this with a little more interest, because I know if I just talk like I normally talk to people, then it'll come across as flat. If I go just a little bump up 10%, people are like, that guy is intriguing and interesting and enthusiastic, versus he seems like he's bored to death. Why the hell is he even doing this? He's boring himself to death. He's boring me to death. Okay. So that helps with the videos and so forth. And I got a little video on how to do a good video if you want to see that too. All right. So in the course of this conversation, how many different things do I have that you want more of?
How to do a good video, your contractor list, how to be a local expert.
Get your notes. Okay. All right. So I owe you a couple more things. So here's the deal. I'm a real estate person. You're a real estate person. I've got stuff you want. Let me ask you this question. Do you think there are other real estate agents out there in your sphere that want this stuff?
Yes, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, right. So how do I attract real estate agents selling more houses?
You give them more things that they need.
Every single thing that I send to my sphere of influence, I send to my realtor list as a separate list, and do not CC everybody. You blind CC everybody. By the way, I sent this out to my sphere. Feel free to use it. By the way, I did this. Feel free to use it. Now you're adding value and not asking them for anything. And you'll hear this, the sales gurus like, oh, Russ, you got to include a call to action. Like, listen, they know where to find me. Okay. Am I going to push the issue? No. But if somebody reaches out and like, hey, can we talk about this? Great. Well, why don't we sit down face-to-face and have a chat? Okay. And then when I sit down with an agent face-to-face and have a chat, by the way, next video is how do you walk them through that conversation of where you are now, where you want to be? By the way, I kind of did that with you today.
Yep.
Was it obvious?
Not at all.
Super subtle. Where are you at now? Where do you want to be? And then I'm only selling you what you need to solve the problem that you brought to me. By the way, did you point out a couple of problems along the way that you didn't even know you had? Things you were missing? Sure. So I said, you just want a solution to get more people to come to you. Okay, how are you going to do that? Here's where you are now. Here's where you want to be. Can you do this? Will you?
Yes.
You can. Will you? And you're going to hold everybody below you accountable to this. Number one, I'm going to lead by example and demonstrate. And I'm going to hold the people below me accountable. So what happens to them? They end up selling more houses. They end up putting out more good stuff that I can use and you can use. And then they end up attracting more real estate agents. So how do we build our organization organically, selling more houses and stay rich while we're doing it?
Lead by example. Yeah.
Right. So one of my goals is to get a lot of the people that are at zero attraction to get one person, just one, right? If they start doing this, they're going to get one. When they get one, they're going to want to have a second one.
That's true.
By the way, oh, that worked. Well, this person came to me and asked me what I could do. Oh,
yeah.
Well, right. Let me introduce you to Liz. Liz will help you have this conversation, walk you from point A to point B. So if you want a separate conversation about that walking from point A to point B, and you and I do that and record that, I will do that with you personally, so that you and I can have this conversation and really exhaust that. So you have the full recipe on that. If you don't mind me recording it, you can become part of my value to other people, because there's going to be some people who want to watch this.
Yes.
You're going to want some of your people to watch this, right?
I am. Yes.
Okay, good. So do I have your permission to send this to a person or six?
Please, whoever you want.
We're gonna have calling this one Liz's Gold or something like that. All right. So thank you for that.
Yeah.